Would money cure a multitude of ills, right? So often our focus is on how can we manage with this little pie, and the shrinking pie, in fact, that it is. In fact, we need to turn that on its head and think funding is limitless. Do you believe that? Funding is limitless for those who go and get it. It's not free. It's not a fantasy. It just doesn't appear in a bag usually. Funding appears by our going and acquiring. So what I want to do here is I'm going to put us through the paces. You might want to take notes. What I want to do is give you 9 fundraising fundamentals with a video. And there could be 100 fundraising fundamentals, frankly. I'm going to give you 9 of them. Ready, set, let's go. Number 1, make fundraising a priority. How many organizations don't quite get around to it, don't quite raise enough because everything else is demanding your time? In fact, for those of us who get nervous about asking for money, we'd rather be distracted by all those urgent and other important things. Is that not true? But we have to make it a priority, and you know how you make it a priority? You dedicate time to it. The most precious resource we have as people, certainly as volunteers and as employees, is the management of our time. Right? That's the most powerful thing we have. So we set time aside, we make it a priority, and we go after it. Number 1, make it a priority. Number 2, it's all about relationships. Know thy donors and get to know thy prospective donors. It's all about relationships. One at a time, eyeball to eyeball if possible. You engage, you get to know folks. You make it about them. You find out what they are passionate about. And then you think about, well, what is it that we do that aligns with what's passionate for them? And that's how you direct your solicitation. So know thy donors, it's all about relationships. Number 3, give before you ask. I would never have a volunteer come with me on a call who hasn't made a commitment for that purpose first. In fact, I don't go out on calls without having made a commitment first. So I'm not saying you make $1 million, although you might talk to somebody about a sum we could never think about doing ourselves. But you make a gift that's proportionate so that you can say, I'm in. I'm doing what I can. And I tell you what, by making the commitment yourself, your passion for your organization will intensify. Your love for the organization and for what your purpose is will deepen. But you have to give yourselves. And I tell you what, there's something a whole lot different from being a volunteer. That works on one part of the brain. There's probably studies done. On the other side is what you do with what you got, with your money. So give your money away to your own organization. You're going to find that it brings you fortune. Number 4, prepare and rehearse. Prepare and rehearse. So you need to prepare a case. You got to know what you're talking about, what's important about your organization, and what your current needs are, your current goals, your current aspirations for which you want to engage people and ask them to join with you in meeting those needs and aspirations. And rehearse. So when I began asking for money, individual direct money from folks in Southern Illinois, this is back in 96, 97, 98, I remember crisscrossing Southern Illinois. And what I learned very quick is that I would rehearse out loud in my car. I had nothing else to do, right? Going up and down 40 and so on, not the most stimulating drive. No offense to the communities that bump up to the interstates, but the fact of the matter is I would rehearse out loud and say, John and Mary, would you consider giving $10,000 payable over 5 years for XYZ of the Diocese of Belleville? And I would say it, and I would say it, and I would say it. So when I got into the home, the dog's barking, the baby's crying, there's somebody who drops by in the neighborhood, I'm feeling nervous and insecure about the moment because I had rehearsed. If I could get out John and Mary, I could get out the rest. So we rehearsed. And I tell you what, going down towards Cairo and coming all the way back after not having asked for the gift that I planned to, you think that's a long drive? Too long a drive. Ask for a specific amount. Don't go in and say, gee, if you could help me, we'd appreciate it. You ask for a specific amount. Now, we'll talk about videos in a minute, but There's a whole kind of series of questions you ask yourself as you prepare for a call. And you want to know your donor, you want to have a sense for their capacity, you want to have a sense for their affinity with your organization. If you think of it as a quadrant graph, the upper right-hand quadrant where there's greatest capacity and greatest affinity, those are the folks you want to focus on first. Now, you want them hopefully to have a philanthropic disposition, and not all people will at the time you see them, or they may be philanthropic but unable to respond to your request, but you ask for a specific amount. Number 6, how are we doing? Listen, record, and recall. Listen, recall, record, and recall. So it's probably the 80-20 rule works, 80% listening to donors and prospective donors, getting to know them, allowing them to tell you their stories and what's important to them. And if we keep our mouths shut as solicitors and listen, it's amazing what they will tell you. But then we have to go back and somehow record it. Put it in a notebook, put it in your software system. If you have software that works for this kind of thing, you track what they say so that next time you're going to go and see them, you can review so that you can recall. So when I go back to a donor and I say, John and Mary, so how's Sally doing? Did she marry Jim after all? I mean, you were talking about it being, in the next 30 days that they planned to surprise you, but you had found out. So what do they think about that? He listened to me the last time, right? How's your daughter? I know she's suffering. He listens to me. He cares more about me than himself. And that's what we want. We want folks to feel that they're first. In fact, it's not about me. It's not about you. It's all about the donor. It begins and ends with the donor. Here's another one. No's are nothing to worry about. No's are nothing to worry about. How many of you would be nervous going on a call because, let's be honest here, because someone might say no? I've got my hand up. I don't know about you. I mean, doesn't that keep you from asking or wanting to even think about asking? Because they might say no. I might feel uncomfortable. What do I do if they say no? But if you think of no's differently, think of no's as part of building the relationship. So if someone says no, you have this great opportunity to ask why. Because you want to better appreciate it. And they're going to tell you some very important information. What they like or dislike about your organization. Why they can't give now. Why the timing isn't right. If you listen and you think about it and accept the no as part of the relationship, it doesn't mean it's no forever, it's no for now. So I have a donor I'm working with at UMSL. In fact, we're in the last mile of the marathon. And this is a very substantial donor to our university. And I have been turned down by him 4 times in the last 4 years. And what he said to me one time, this is when I really asked for an audacious sum of money, he said, well, Martin, we can't do that, but please do come back again with your next idea. So now we're wrapping up a discussion, and it's going to be a wonderful gift for our university, and particularly for our students who are interested in jazz. Any of you jazz fans here? But it was because when he said no, I didn't tuck my tail between my legs and went away. No, I have this relationship. And because I have this relationship, he doesn't say, I never want to see you again. No, come on by, Martin, if you want to see me. I may not say yes today, but come on by, because I like the fact that you like me and you're interested in me and not just my resources. Donors get it that they have resources to dispose, but they don't want to be seen as a checkbook. They want to be seen as people and respected for who they are. The same thing we want for ourselves, right? I guess we're at number 8, close the gift. Have you ever had an experience where someone says, yeah, I'll give you $100, or I'm good for $500, or I'm good for $1,000, or I'm good for something more? You never get the gift? All right, asking is just the beginning, my friends. Closing the gift is what matters. So when someone gives you a verbal intention, that's wonderful. You want to close the gift. Now, by closing the gift, I mean you get the cash, you get the checkbook, the check, you get the stock transfer, you get a document that's a written promise from that donor, from the donors, that says, yes, we're good for it, and we're going to deliver it in this time frame for this purpose. But closing the gift is the most difficult thing about this. Oftentimes, those who have the greatest capacity are the busiest people in the world. Finally, number 9, thank, recognize, inform. Now, some people will say, stop thanking me. But it's kind of like this. Stop thanking me. Stop thanking me. Right? We can't thank people enough. We should always be thankful. Whenever I go to see a donor who supported the university in the past, I know what they've done for us most recently, and I thank them for it. And it immediately disposes, whether it's a large gift or a very modest gift. They know I'm coming aware of the fact that they're generous to our institution. So you thank them in multiple ways, and recognize them as appropriate. We may have an extraordinary donor. We may take Mary and John out for dinner, and we'll bring certain members of our faculty or one of our deans to sit down and have the evening with them, have a glass of wine, have a nice meal as a way of thanking them. We do all kinds of creative things to thank and recognize our donors, and then inform. After they've made the gift, don't turn your back and wait till next year. Let them know through newsletters, through notes, through a phone call, through stopping by their office or their home, what you're doing with their investment. Think of it as a partnership and as an investment that we're asking of people to make. And you're going to do well. Okay, so we're going to go to a 5-minute video. It's called 7 Tips. It's 7 Tips Dealing with Difficult Donors. We all face difficult donors, and it's how we think about them and what we do with them. The comment I want to make is part of my giving back in my 60s. I'm 62 years old, but when I was 59, one of the things I decided to do was to find a way to give back to my profession, because the profession has been so generous to me. I've met so many wonderful people. So I thought, here's a way I could do it. I can go down to my basement, buy $600 worth of equipment and cameras, turn it on, and talk about something that's on my mind about fundraising. Well, 2 years later, and I've got, I think, about 46 videos up, most of them 5 to 10 minutes. They're just a resource. They're a free resource to anybody who wants to become a better fundraiser or confirm that they are a great fundraiser. And they're free at martinleifeld.com or Martin Leifeld YouTube. But here's one. It's just 5 minutes. I hope you like it and find it useful. Thank you.